As a former Uber and Lyft driver, retired now, I was always asked this very common question. What's the craziest story that you got? Or do you have any crazy stories? And I would say, do you want to hear crazy good or crazy bad? I already know they want to hear both, and I also know they're going to choose bad first. So they chose bad. So I'm here to tell you the bad story first, and then the good story second. Now understand this. Both stories are intertwined and connected in a very interesting way. So you have to hear both sides of the story. And then you can make your own conclusion on the complexity of what I already told you. Let's start with the bad story first. So, I was driving in Nashville, East Broadway, around 16th Avenue. And it's pretty late at night. I have 4 people in the car. They're all drunk. Very bad. Very bad drunk. So I'm at a light, and it's like a spaghetti junction. It's not a 4-way, it's like a 6-way. And you have to wait to walk across the street. You have to wait for the walk sign. These 2 guys walk across the street, and they don't wait for the walk sign, they just go. And as they're walking across the front of my car, the lane to my right has a green light, and both guys keep walking. One guy looks both ways, and one guy does not. The one that did not look both ways got hit by a van that was going 50. He didn't hit the glass that much, he hit the pylon, the corner. He flew 70 feet. I drove as fast as I could and went around and blocked off the traffic. And then I got out of the car and I went directly to where he was at. And he was bleeding out of his ears, and the blood was dark red. I found out that maybe he had lived. The ambulance was there about a minute later, and nothing I could do except for just give a testimony or a statement. I didn't have a dash cam at that time. I took it out of the car. However, all my passengers ran off, and I don't blame them, you know? And so it's so traumatic for me to even tell the story because of that impact and the things I had to see. So when I would drive past that intersection in the future, I would take a deep breath, subconsciously and consciously, because I would always think about that intersection. And I had passed it about a dozen times before I finally retired. But that night, whenever I was finishing up basically my shift, I decided I didn't want to just end the night like that. I needed to take someone else so I can get my mind off of this situation. So I took a passenger, and his name was Henry. And I took Henry where he needed to go. But what I didn't tell Henry is that my best friend Henry died 20 years ago in a car wreck, going to see his mom on Mother's Day. So that's the worst I've ever seen outside my car. I would say even inside my car. But that's not the worst things that happened inside my car. Now, for the good story. So, I was driving, and it was a really beautiful day. And as I pull up, there is a Ferrari and a Lamborghini and a Porsche and just GT40, all this nice cars. I think it was GT40. Anyways, $1 million cars, right? Really nice. And I knew I was somewhere important. This lady named Allie gets in the car, and she had just been hanging out with Kevin Bacon and his brother. Have it on dash cam too. So, as I'm driving her, we just conversed, and I told her what I do for a living, and we became friends, just friends. So, a couple years later, after I met Allie, she reached out to me because her best friend had died in a car wreck. So I consoled her and told her about my friend Henry, and it was really tough for her to hear the words I had to tell her about what to expect. But overall, Allie understood, and she felt comforted by what I told her. And basically, she was able to process what I was telling her. And she really felt like I helped her, and she wanted to help me back, and I told her I don't need that, it's okay. But she did. And she told me to meet this movie producer in Nashville. So that year, 2022, I had 5 flat tires. I even had a flat tire one night, and the guy in the car I had, one of them was named Buck. My middle name was Buck. Anyways, I got a flat tire going 2 miles an hour in the parking lot. And I had a big speaker box in the back, and I had to have this stranger, help me get my speaker box out so I can get my spare tire on. And I put the spare tire on, and then I had to drive 50 minutes to my Airbnb. Anyways, on my way to go to Nashville, I had to stop and go to the restroom. And as I approached the gas station, I noticed there's a TV crew there, and it just happened to be on the way I was going towards the movie producer's place. So I get out of the car, I'm dressed really nice, and then what do I see? I see a TV crew, and the TV crew lady asked the other person that was working with her, he said, let's ask that guy. And anyways, they turn around and she says, hey, you mind if we interview you? And I was like, sure, what about? And then she says, potholes in Nashville. I was like, whoa, this is wild, right? So then I decided to do the interview, talked about my book, talked about the potholes, and then I move on and go to the movie producer's place, which was the Storyteller Museum for Johnny Cash. So I sit and talk with the movie producer, and at Johnny Cash's Storyteller Museum, I give him all my books and everything, and he invites me to come back to this event that he has organized on one of the social media platforms. I don't want to disclose too much, but I said sure, and about 3 months later, I'm back at that same place, and I'm also at Johnny Cash's ranch, and on stage is Johnny Cash's brother-in-law, Priscilla Presley's brother, also a member of Elvis's backup band and an agent for Merle Haggard, and in the audience there was Taylor Swift and Prince's music producers. I'm telling you, I go to these events every 2, 3, 4 months, and I'm surrounded by people that are very successful and very inspirational, and it's a very special place to be. So that is my good story. Now, with all that being said, don't you think I have a lot more stories? There's a lot more than what I'm telling you. However, that's my crazy good, my crazy bad. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.